Everybody remembers Bruce Lee as a legend. The movies, the speed, the confidence, the philosophy. But years after his death, people started noticing something unusual. No matter where Bruce Lee was, he never seemed completely satisfied. Not in Hong Kong, not in America, not even after becoming famous. And that's strange, because most people spend their entire lives chasing success. Bruce Lee achieved more success than most people could imagine. Yet according to people who knew him, he always seemed to be searching for something. The question is, what? And the answer may explain far more about Bruce Lee than any fight scene ever could. Long before Hollywood knew his name, Bruce Lee was already developing a reputation for being restless. As a teenager in Hong Kong, he reportedly got into fights often. He changed social circles, argued passionately, questioned authority, and rarely seemed comfortable staying in one place for very long. At first, that sounds like normal teenage behavior. But people close to him later described a pattern. Bruce Lee wasn't simply rebellious. He was driven, almost obsessively driven. If he learned something, he wanted to master it. If he entered a room, he wanted to dominate it. If he believed something, he defended it intensely. Many admired that quality. Others found it exhausting. But everyone noticed it. Years later, some people would wonder if that same restless energy became the fuel behind his greatness. Because Bruce Lee never seemed interested in being average, not even for a moment. Then came America, and here's where the story becomes more interesting. Most people imagine moving to a new country as a fresh start. For Bruce Lee, it became another challenge to conquer. He worked, studied, taught martial arts, met new people, built new opportunities. But even then, something remained unchanged. The restlessness. Students often described him as someone who was constantly experimenting, constantly testing ideas, constantly changing techniques. Bruce Lee wasn't satisfied with repeating tradition. He wanted to reinvent it. That mindset eventually led him to create Jeet Kune. And while some martial artists praised his innovation, others strongly disagreed. Even today, decades later, martial artists still debate whether Bruce Lee changed martial arts forever or simply challenged traditions that were already evolving. The debate never really ended. But here's the part almost nobody talks about. The restlessness wasn't limited to martial arts. It appeared everywhere. Bruce Lee read constantly, studied psychology, philosophy, human behavior, fitness, business, writing, film production. Friends sometimes joked that his mind moved faster than everyone else's. And perhaps that was part of the problem. Because when your mind is always racing toward the future, it's difficult to feel satisfied with the present. Some people thrive on that. Others become trapped by it. Bruce Lee seemed to exist somewhere between those two extremes. Always building, always planning, always pushing, and rarely slowing down. By the early 1970s, Bruce Lee had finally achieved what he wanted. Fame, recognition, influence. The world knew his name. Yet many people who watched interviews from that period noticed something surprising. Bruce Lee often talked about growth. The next project, the next challenge, the next goal, not the achievements he already had. The next ones. It's almost as if success solved one problem, but immediately created another. Because once you've reached the top, where do you go next? That question followed Bruce Lee until the very On July 20th, 9 years old, that's why Bruce the world refused to believe fascinating today. Powerful. Not later. Because he was perfect. Something happened that near Bruce Lee's burial site but because that immediately raised news about what was ever knew something was wrong. Radar scans, sealed structures, unexpected some experts in the chamber Some people
area.
believe that
Because
restless
one
energy
terrifying
made
question on the
Bruce Lee
mystery,
extraordinary.
the final days.
Others believe it
Back in the late
prevented him from
1960s,
ever
really
feeling
seen anyone
fully
like
at
Bruce
peace.
Lee before. Fast,
Maybe both are
explosive,
true, because
controlled.
sometimes the same
But more
thing that
importantly,
drives greatness
Bruce
also
Lee
makes
looked,
it impossible
and
to stop
audiences
chasing
felt
it.
Way of the Dragon. Because
And more
Bruce,
than 50 years
his
later,
discipline was
people
real.
still
Fighters
can't agree
later
on
admitted
one
how
question.
Bruce Lee
Was
trained
Bruce Lee
constantly,
great because he was
with
restless?
extremely rare
Or did that
choreography.
restlessness
They were
come
watching
first?
controlled violence
Let me know what you think in the
and
comments.
psychological